Okay, we're in Acts chapter 8, and Simon just chewed out, Simon Peter. Peter just chewed out Simon the sorcerer, and Simon the sorcerer responds in verse 24 and said, "Pray ye to the Lord for me, that none of these things which ye have spoken come upon me." So that sounds like that he got the message and repented. There's a note in my Bible to look at James chapter 5. Is that 16? We'll see. Let's take a look. What does it say there? James. How is this? James 5:16. It says, "Confess your faults one to another, and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much." Well, that's true. Now we're back in Acts, verse 25. "And they, when they had testified and preached the word of the Lord, returned to Jerusalem and preached the gospel in many villages of the Samaritans. And the angel of the Lord spake unto Philip, saying, Arise, and go ye toward the south, unto the way that goes down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert." Gaza, you probably hear a lot, you've heard of Gaza in reference to the Gaza Strip in Israel, Palestine. So Philip obeyed the angel of the Lord, and he arose and went down into Gaza. And behold, a man from Ethiopia, who was a eunuch of great authority under Candace, who was the queen of the Ethiopians, he had the charge of all her treasure, and he had come to Jerusalem to worship. And he was returning and sitting in his chariot, and he was reading Isaiah, the prophet, which is amazing. And Philip was led by the Spirit right to him. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, Go near and join thyself to this chariot. Which, if you think about it, that's like being in a parking, saying, go up to that car and talk to that person. It's an unusual thing to do. And Philip ran thither to him and heard, or you know what it's like, Brandy? It's like me riding my bike up to you and saying, I'm born again in Jesus Christ. Philip ran thither to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, Do you understand what you're reading? And the Ethiopian eunuch said, How can I, except someone should guide me and teach me? And he asked Philip if he would come and sit with him. And the place of the scripture which he read was this. It's from Isaiah chapter 53, verses 7 and 8. First, I'm going to read from Isaiah chapter 53, verses 7 and 8. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before the shearers is dumb, so he opens not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And that's exactly what Philip the eunuch was reading. He was led as a sheep to the slaughter, and like a lamb dumb before his shearer, so opened he not his mouth. In his humiliation his judgment was taken away, and who shall declare his generation? For his life is taken from the earth. Now, this is what happened to Christ. And the eunuch answered Philip and said, I pray thee, of whom speaketh the prophet this? Of himself or of some other man? So the eunuch saying to Philip, who was Isaiah hundreds of years before Jesus? Who was Isaiah speaking of in this prophecy? And Philip opened his mouth and began at the same scripture and preached unto him Jesus. And as they went on their way, they came unto a certain water. They came unto a lake or a pond. And the eunuch said, see, here is water. Is there anything to stop me from being baptized? And Philip said, if thou believe with all thine heart, thou mayest. And he answered, and the eunuch answered him and said, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And he told his chariot drivers to halt, and Philip and the eunuch went down both into the water, and Philip baptized the eunuch. And then when they were come up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord caught away Philip, that the eunuch saw him no more, and he went on his way rejoicing. But Philip was found at Azotus, and passing through he preached in all the cities till he came to Caesarea. So that is the story of Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch. And now we're finished with chapter 8, and in the next chapter, remember I told you about Saul, the wicked, persecuting scribe, Pharisee? Well, chapter 9 is a lot about Saul, and how he's going to become Paul. Okay.